Welcome to Prepared for Parenthood, the podcast for hopeful, expectant, and new parents with little ones up to age 5. I'm your host, Dr. Stephanie Dueger, a psychotherapist, author, educator, parent coach, and married mother of 2. On this show, we'll discuss everything from the most up-to-date practicals of best supporting your young children, to thriving in relationship as a family, to more surprising topics around the psychology and development of babies from conception through age 5. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. I'm thrilled to have you here today. Welcome back to Prepared for Parenthood. I'm really excited today. Our guest is Nina Ketscher, a holistic and integrative somatic prenatal and perinatal practitioner, educator, and mom. Trained in both Western psychology and Eastern healing wisdoms, Nina expands upon commonly known practices for supporting conscious conception, pregnancy, birth, and parenting. Her training sessions and workshops gently release past traumas and lovingly support families to be more consciously aware of and develop their soul's connection and purpose, creating more happy, peaceful, loving, thriving, and satisfied relationships and families. Welcome, Nina. I'm really excited to have you here today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's so great to be with you. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Your work is so interesting, and I'm just wondering if you could share a little bit about what it actually looks like and how you got into this work.
It's a personal journey as well as a professional journey. And I'll start with the personal aspects because I always wanted to have a family. It was something that was in my heart, and I was always connected to children. Actually, my first job was working in a daycare center and in a summer camp, facilitating an art program for children. So I taught dance and aerobics, and we did different printmaking and art classes and theater productions. And so children and babies have always been a love of mine from the very beginning. And I think it's because of the purity that they carry and the love that is just emitting from them. And I never really understood why. So my personal journey was exploring through movement. So I started off as a dancer and then trained in different somatic movement practices like authentic movement. And I trained as a Nia instructor, which is a combination of different movement forms, both Eastern and Western, dance and martial arts and healing arts. So that was a comprehensive movement program, which was focused on body, mind, and spirit. And it was done barefoot. So we were really connecting with the earth and connecting with our bodies and allowing ourselves the space to move. And through that, I also was trained in Pilates and started working with clients and moving their bodies. And what happened was some cathartic release. Emotions would come up as I started to invite people into their bodies. And at that point, I hadn't had much psychology training. I was just a movement dancer, explorer, and lover of the nature. And I decided at that point, I really wanted to go deeper to help my clients and to see what else there is for me to know about ourselves as human beings. And so I enrolled in a PhD program at Santa Barbara Graduate Institute, which was focused twofold, one on somatic psychology and the other on prenatal psychology. Of course, as a dancer, I picked the somatic psychology track, but I had this prenatal awareness that was a thread throughout my training. I remember recognizing the moment when I understood that we are carrying our experiences in our body, in our musculature, in our cells. And our cells understand what it is we've experienced. And unless we bring awareness to those experiences and help to heal from maybe traumatic experiences, and also to support the positive ones, then there was a disconnection I was sensing that I had in myself. So as I kept exploring somatic psychology and being trained in clinical psychology, I was really getting the body-mind connection. And I remember at the end of my training, it was an authentic movement class, and I had a partner that was sitting across from me, and I just remember putting my hands on my heart. And I thought, okay, here's the body and the mind and their spirit. I understood that, but I didn't really get that. And when I put my hands on my heart, I thought to myself, I want to understand what's there, what's beyond the heart of us. And shortly after, I met an Indian saint in Santa Cruz. I was living in Santa Cruz, California at the time, and he had come to give a program. And I absolutely never thought I would meet an Indian saint in my entire life. I had been raised Catholic and very much have a very strong connection with Mary and Jesus, also very personally. And so I had experienced the energy of them through the Catholic Church, but I also explored my ancestors, which are Native American or Indigenous, Cherokee to be specific. And I read a lot about how they connected with the nature and the practices that they did to recognize the holiness of us as human beings and also the preciousness of this earth that we have and the resources that the earth gives to us through food, through air, and all the elements that surround us. And so I went on this spiritual journey then to see where I could find myself in all of it. And so I also studied Tibetan Buddhism, and I did some Hebrew practices, Shabbat, and they were just lovely, connecting with the mother's energy and this very nurturing energy. And when I met Sri Kaleshwar in Santa Cruz, he was giving an initiation to a process to purify the five elements in us and around us through a meditation practice. And at that point, I had never seen a mala before, other than the Tibetan ones that they wear on the wrists. And I knew about them, but I had never used one. And I was very familiar with the rosary, but it felt very similar. There was a link and a connection. And I remember the moment when we were holding a candle in front of us and looking into the fire. And Sri Kaleshwar was walking around the room, and my eyes just went to him, his eyes, and we met for this brief moment. And at that moment, my heart opened and it started to pound like really beautiful energy. And then my mind came in and said, oh no, we're supposed to be looking at the flame. So I went back, but I remember something happened in that moment when we made eye to eye contact. His soul energy and my soul energy recognized something there, and he helped to heal a part of my heart pain, my heartbreak that I was having at the time in my relationship. And so from that moment, I started to use a mala and meditate with mantra. And what I found was I was more disciplined in my life than I had ever been before in this practice. And I felt more in balance, like I could handle more of the ups and downs. And I had more clarity about what was right for me and what was maybe something someone else wanted me to do or be. And so I felt very grateful in that moment for these teachings. And it made me want to learn more. I want to learn more about the soul. I want to learn more about the soul's healing capabilities. And even though we can't see it necessarily, and we don't talk about it very much in our culture, it is with us all the time. And how is it then that we nurture that aspect of us? It's wonderful that we have different practices for the body and the mind and the emotions, like emotional freedom technique, doing tapping. I also trained in that. But when we really want to look at wholeness and wellness for the whole being, then we have to include the soul. And it wasn't until I went to Penakonda, India, where Sri Kaleshwar's ashram is, where I felt I was home. I was in a place that felt like home to me, and I had never felt that in my life before. And I was still very curious and young and new to the teachings, and I didn't really understand everything, but a part of me really understood everything. It got at a deeper level what he was teaching. And I remember when I learned from him the power of a woman, the hidden power in a woman, and how great a woman's capacity is in life. In fact, he said, men won or lost their kingdoms because of a woman. And this was the first time I had heard a man, number one, talk about the woman's power. And number two, such a young person recognizing the capacity of a woman and the healing capacity, especially that mothers can have in preparation for bringing in new life and nurturing that life as they grow and develop. And I had been trained in women's studies prior to all of that. So for me, it felt real. And I was a pretty big critic of a lot of different things. So that he was bringing such a knowledge forward, I thought, yes, this is exactly what my soul wants to embody and to share in the world. And so I went just more personal at that point and continued to heal my own heartbreak and purify my human blocks like jealousy and competitiveness and doubts and unworthiness and all of the different ways that we as human beings get caught up in ourselves and get caught up in not really ourselves, in the illusion of who we think we are based on our prior experiences. So there was a lot of undoing of the things I was carrying that I identified with as myself. And as those things came off, more and more I recognized, oh, there's just this beautiful light and love that is there. And then I started to see that light in others and the love in others and just kept implementing the teachings. And eventually I met my husband in India, studying the same tradition. And so both of us were able to implement a lot of the teachings that I was given. And we now have a beautiful son who's turning 11 soon. And I can say how grateful I am that someone was able to bring forth teachings that helped me as a woman to become more empowered, and as a mother to empower my child from the very beginning, from fertility to consciously conceiving him, to really developing his soul and nurturing him in the womb. Our bond is so strong. And at birth, there was like a protection around us. This was my experience, that these practices really create this sense of protection and health. And so the interventions were minimal at that point. And I was able to give birth naturally and without any interventions, and had to navigate a little bit my own birth story after that. And that's when I went deeper into prenatal psychology and studied through APA, the Association for Pre and Perinatal Psychology and Health, in their pre and perinatal educator program. And that just helped me to heal anything from my own birth experience that I hadn't prior to that moment brought into my awareness and healed. And so there's a combination of these things that all created this inspiration for me to continue to nurture the soul's spark in each of us, whether we're a spirit coming into form or we're in the womb and we're growing, or we're carrying that baby in the womb, or we're protecting and fathering that baby in the womb, grandparenting that baby or nurturing, and then really supporting that through every stage of a child's development.
That's a really beautiful retelling of your personal experiences through this journey. And how does that look in your work? How do you help people nurture their soul spark?
So I have private sessions where I work with individuals and couples. And sometimes I'm also working with a mom and her child after 4 or 5 years have gone by, and there's still some prenatal experiences for both of them that they're looking to heal, or there's behavioral things that have come up with the child that they're recognizing and they want to do something about it. And so I work very integrative and holistically and combining everything, what I've learned through somatic psychology, so really inviting them where they are in that moment. And I watch for their body cues and where it is they want to go in that time together, really honoring that and taking it slow, but also using different modalities such as energy. So I work very energetically with people and sending energy through my eyes to them. And I also use mantras to help to support that, the flow of divine energy. I will often give them a recording of a mantra to listen to that I have done, which can support them. So, for example, if someone comes to me, they're having fertility challenges and they're on a journey for that, I may invite them to listen to a mantra recording for fertility specifically to help to bless them with a child and also to support health around that conception time. And I will also share with them conscious conception mantra that they can do during intimacy with their partner. And for those who have chosen to do IVF or different fertility processes, they can also do these mantras alongside those processes to help the soul and the spirit of that child, that baby coming in, to be seen and heard and acknowledged and welcomed in that time, because it can be a little bit more mechanical or scientific in that moment. But we're welcoming then in that moment the love and the wish and the wanting of those parents, that deep desire to create a family. So these mantras can be very supportive, because at a cellular level, we have in each of our cells, the 5 elements are there. It's made mostly of water. We're mostly made of water. The womb is also mostly made of water. And in there is earth, fire, and air. There has to be movement in our body. So that's the air element. The fire is really our blood, and also our DNA, the helix. That's where the spark comes, that fire. Yeah. And the earth is in the actual frame of our cells. Every cell has a boundary, right? So it's about nurturing the 5 elements in us through using these high vibrational mantras, which have been passed down in ancient palm leaf manuscripts. And my teacher, Sri Kaleshwar, has revealed these mantras and processes to us that were also practiced by such great saints as Buddha, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Babaji, Shirdi Baba, Ramana Maharshi, and also Jesus Christ and Mother Mary. And when parents are given these mantras, what happens is whatever disconnecting energy or negative vibrations maybe are running in us, whether it's emotional or physical or mental, or we're not connected so much to our own soul, then these mantras help to bring all of that into a harmony, into a balance, and allows health and wellness to thrive in each of our cells. So it's giving a divine consciousness, you could say, to the process of being a parent and of nurturing our children.
And would you say that it's the vibrations of the mantras that have the effect? I don't know if it's explainable or not.
Yeah, so similar to how mindfulness studies have come about, there's an actual change in our brain chemistry that brings more calm to our nervous system, and it allows us to open up and be with our pure potential. And it is a vibrational medicine. You could call it that, an energy medicine, soul medicine that is affecting every cell in our body. Like I said, when you chant these mantras, they're seed vibrations of the creation energy itself, or of Mother Nature herself. And so you're connecting with these divine vibrations. It's like calling up Mother Divine or Father Divine and saying, "Hi, I need some help with this situation in my life right now. Can you please come and help me?" And then when you chant the mantra, for example, most people are familiar with Om Namah Shivaya. And Om Namah Shivaya is nothing but the 5 elements. Na is earth, Ma is fire, Shi is sky, Va is water, and Ya is air. Namah Shivaya. So it's really in our 5 fingers and 5 toes, and really within us. And so when you see maybe different saints or different people using mudras, which is hand positions, even peace is fire and sky. Yeah. Or you maybe have seen this, Jesus does this. It's earth, fire, and sky. And there are just different mudras. I love you is earth, fire, and air. And when we chant these seed mantras or these seed vibrations, then it's like planting the seed in your cells. And it moves out whatever karmic, old, stagnant energy that maybe is hanging out in our cells, purifies those cells in us. And then we feel more alive in us, more clear in our mind's eye, and we're more calm and able to meet the challenges in our day to day.
We've been speaking today with Nina Ketscher. She's a holistic and integrative somatic prenatal and perinatal practitioner, an educator, and a mother. Thank you so much for being here today, Nina. It's so great to see you.
Thank you. It's been wonderful to be with you.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you so much for listening to the Prepared for Parenthood podcast today. I hope you found this episode educational, informational, and conversational, and that you'll join me again for another episode soon. If you enjoyed listening to today's podcast, I'd very much appreciate if you would rate, review, and subscribe. If you're interested in more information related to today's podcast, or are looking for parent coaching or courses, you can find my information in the show notes or online at preparedforparenthood.com.